I hope that everybody's having a terrific week. The Torah tells us in Perek Yud Tes Pasuk Chav Tes, this week's Parsha Vayeira, that when Hashem wanted to destroy Sodom, Vayizkor Elokim es Avraham, Hashem remembered Avram, and that's why he saved Lot. Rashi says, what did Hashem remember about Avraham that motivated him to save Lot? Because he remembered that when Avram was going to Mitzrayim and he hid Sarah in a box, he remembered that Lot didn't tattletale. He didn't rat out Avraham and tell the Mitzrayim, tell the Egyptians that Sarah was in the box. Two questions. Number one, why would Lot rat out Avraham? It's family. Like, it's such a great merit that Lot didn't tattletale. It was his uncle. It was his aunt. Of course he didn't tattletale. And secondly, Lot just did a massive mitzvah. Lot risked his life so that the angels would come into his home and be saved from the hordes, from the crowds of the Sodom. So why didn't Hashem remember Vayizkor Elokim es Avram? Why didn't Hashem remember the fact that Lot did Achnasas Orchim instead of the fact that Lot didn't rat out Avraham? I remember when I was young, my parents always strongly encouraged us to go to school. There were very few days that we missed. I'm very thankful for them now that they taught us that responsibility. I remember one day I must have been really sick because already the night before my parents said that tomorrow you don't have to go to school. Tomorrow you should stay home. You're sick. So I said, okay, Dad. So please wake me up for minyan tomorrow morning so I can at least daven with the minyan. When I got up, I already knew that it was late. I saw my father had already left. I ran to shul, and when we came home, my father said to my mother, "Look what crazy son you have. He ran to minyan even though he was sick." And my mother said to him, "Well, where did you think that he learned that from?" Because my father very much stood for minyan. He went to minyan. I remember when we were in Epcot Center. He went to minyan. He found a minyan for mincha there in Disneyland or Disney World. He found a minyan there also because he always davened with the minyan. So growing up in that house, that idea of minyan, it's ingrained inside of me. I don't necessarily make a choice about going to minyan. It's just part of the rituals, it's part of the program, it's part of the fabric of who I am. Maybe the same thing over here, and this is what Rav Dessler explains. Rav Dessler says that for Lot to do Achnasas Orchim, that wasn't really a challenge. For Lot to save the angels and bring them into his home, that wasn't a challenge. He grew up in Avram's house, and Avram excelled, that Achnasas Orchim. The very fabric of who Lot was Achnasas Orchim. But you know what was challenging for Lot? If we read through the stories of these few Parshios, what was challenging for Lot is family. Lot and his daughters, and Lot fighting with Avraham. So even though it might be hard for us to understand this, but for Lot, family was a place to challenge. And because he didn't rat out Avram, he didn't tattle, so that's why he gets the merit now that he's going to be saved from Sodom. Rav Dessler brings up a concept called Nekudas HaBachira. Everybody has a point of battle where our free will is 50%, 50%. Do I do the right thing or do I not do the right thing? Do I strive for Kedusha or do I seek my own pleasures? It's at that Nekudas HaBachira, that's where we get reward. Things that my parents raised me to do, they'll get that reward because they trained me to do the mitzvah. Things that inspire or motivate us to do the right thing, whoever motivated, they get the reward for that. And on the flip side also, maybe things that chas v'shalom somebody would do wrong, a sin. If that's not really in my control, it's about the culture that I grew up in, or the home that I grew up in. These things were allowed, or these things we didn't know about. So that person wouldn't get punished for that sin. He didn't make a choice of doing that sin. It's just about who he is. The place that we would get rewarded or punished is at the Nekudas HaBachira, at the point of choice. If we have a balance, a fair choice, an equal choice, should I do good or should I do bad? I don't know what to do. Okay, let me choose the good, or chas v'shalom, let me choose the bad. But the things that are programmed to us, the things that are part of our nature, on either side, good or bad or sinful, so then those go on the ones, on our parents, on our communities, whoever it was that created that kind of culture. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us always move the Nekudas HaBachira towards the side of Kedusha. We should realize We should be sensitive enough about who we are, so this way we can always make the right choices, and on that choices, Hashem should give us incredible reward. Have a great Shabbos.